Hey there, everybody. It's Ellen Weatherford.
And Christian Weatherford.
And this is Just the Zoo of Us, your favorite animal review podcast, where we rate your favorite animals out of 10 in the categories of effectiveness, ingenuity, and aesthetics.
We are not zoological experts, but we try our best to bring the best and most correct info to you.
We come correct. Before we get into our animals for this week, a couple of really quick housekeeping notes. First of all, a bonus episode of Just the Zoo of Us went up last week. If you're unfamiliar, we are part of the Maximum Fun Network. And as a way to say thank you to the supporters of the Maximum Fun Network, every month we put out a bonus episode. This month's episode was about the animals of Naruto in a special bonus episode we call Just the Jutsu of Us. Mm-hmm. And by the way, Christian is a longtime Naruto fan. I am a normie who knows little to nothing about Naruto, so
just
hopefully
kind of exposed to it.
Yeah, I'm just like around Naruto, so I've just kind of absorbed bits and pieces there. But so what I mean is there's something for everybody, I think, because I don't know that much about Naruto, so you had to explain a lot of it to me. So I think even for the non-weebs among us, there's something for everybody. So if that sort of thing interests you, we've got quite a few bonus episodes up by now where we talked about things like death claws from Fallout and Dungeons and Dragons creatures. And there's all sorts of fun stuff in there. So if you want to go hear our exclusive bonus episodes, head over to MaximumFun.org/join and sign up for as little as $5 a month to become a member of the network, support our show, get access to that bonus content and all the bonus content we've put up. Also, if you are a grown-up listening and you want to hear some more mature content of mine, I put up an episode of my other podcast called Spellbound and Gagged last week, and that is about the Uncanny Valley with special guest Tom Lum, who listeners of Let's Learn Everything will recognize. Mm-hmm. It was really fun. That is for more mature ears, though, so
listener discretion is advised.
Listener discretion is advised. Yes, please. That one is for the grown-ups among us. So I just wanted people to know that that's out there if you're looking for more content. Also, as a little programming note, we are going to be out of town for a couple of weeks in August. So a regular guest episode will go up next week. After that, there are going to be 2 weeks for one of those weeks, I've got a feed drop of a different podcast scheduled where I was a guest on another podcast. So I'm going to drop an episode of that in the feed. Then we might also, rerun an old episode of ours. So I'm going to keep things posting to the feed. Just know that for a couple of weeks in August, we won't have any new episodes out. Just wanted y'all to have a heads up about that so you know what to expect. And that's all that I wanted to talk about before we start the actual show. Let's do our animals.
Okay.
Christian, you're up first this week. What animal do you have to talk to us about?
I have an animal that I'm going to have to be very, very thoughtful about not mispronouncing.
I kind of have something similar with mine, but
okay.
I won't spoil too much about that.
Okay. Well, mine is the Gila monster. And I mention all that about the pronunciation because that is spelled Gila.
A little thorny for English speakers,
yes.
I think.
So that is a Spanish pronunciation. And that still caught me off guard, even having done several years of school-level Spanish and
Now,
Duolingo.
Okay, when you say several years of Spanish, you're talking about American public school,
yes.
Florida public school Spanish.
Yes.
So let's not oversell
sure.
how much Spanish.
But also over a year of Duolingo. So I'm not sure why that caught me off guard, because when I think about it, it does make sense, because a G followed by either an I or an E will make an H sound, like in the word gente.
Or gigante.
Yes.
Which makes more sense when I hear examples, I'm like, oh, okay.
So what messes me up, though, is sometimes my brain thinks, all right, one of these consonants sounds different. Maybe it's the L, and then my brain will say something like Gia.
This introduces a new fun third option to the GIF versus GIF debate.
Oh, no.
GIF. They're GIFs now. Now, my question for you is, did you choose this animal just so you could flex your year-plus Duolingo streak?
No, because I would say I've done the opposite of that, personally.
The number of times it has been 11:55 p.m. and Christian has, awoken in a cold sweat, in just a complete panic, my streak!
It's because Duolingo had infiltrated my dream. If you lose your streak in the dream, you lose it in real life. So, anyway, Gila monster, scientific name, Heloderma suspectum.
Suspectum.
Yes.
Sus. Our most sus creature yet.
Yeah, exactly. So Heloderma meaning sphere skin, I think.
Oh.
Right?
Sphere skin.
Like that's what helo means. So that refers to its skin.
Is it spherical?
Well, it's bumpy. It has these little bumps on their skin.
Oh, it has a lot of tiny spheres.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I feel like we could have used a better word for that.
Yeah. I didn't catch what suspectum means, but you know.
I mean, we can infer.
This species was submitted by Caitlin Dietlin, Lee Lawton, and Julia Kuhn.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Also, sorry if you're still listening and you requested this multiple years ago.
Yeah, some of those were from a ways back.
We have a lot of animals to get through.
We do. There's so many. And I'll be pulling my information from the Smithsonian National Zoo, Animal Diversity Web, and as well as the National Park Service website, specifically for Saguaro National Park.
Saguaro. The
What?
G is also silent in that one.
God. Got me again.
You'd think that having just gone through all of this,
The U wasn't on the list.
that one does sneak up on you. I did have to learn. Neither of us are very familiar with the American Southwest.
Yeah.
So that's not the sort of thing you would just know by looking at the word.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's saguaro.
Saguaro.
Yeah.
Yep. Them. So let me talk about what this is. So the Gila monster is a lizard. And like I mentioned, they have bumpy skin, and they have this interesting pattern on their skin where it's alternating between splotches of black and a lighter color. And that lighter color can sometimes be like a creamy color or an orange color, depending on the specific population.
I like it when it's orange.
Yeah.
It's very Halloween.
And it has a function, which I'll talk about a little bit later.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
It almost makes its skin look like, do you remember playing with light brights?
Oh, yeah.
As a kid?
Yeah.
It looks like light bright because it's like a black backdrop with these little sort of
Well, the skin beads are kind of part of the pattern too, because I looked at pictures of them, and all of those skin beads are one color. So the transitions to colors happens between the beads of their skin.
Yeah, so it looks very pixelated almost.
Yeah.
It looks like beadwork.
Yeah. So this lizard, the adult size can be up to 22 inches long or 56 centimeters.
That's pretty big.
Big lizard. And it's also chunky.
No, they are.
They have I would say a kind of a rounded snout. Their face reminds me of a shorter Komodo dragon, honestly. And they have a big pudgy tail. Yeah.
They're very round.
And there's a reason for this too.
They're earning that sphere skin name.
Now, where they can be found? Arizona and Mexico, some parts of California, Nevada, Utah, and New Mexico. Its name actually comes from the Gila River, where they are common.
Oh, I didn't know that was named after a geographical location.
Yes.
Interesting.
So, of course, these are found in deserts. They prefer rocky foothills over flatter areas and can live in elevations up to 5,000 feet.
Oh, that's way up there.
Or 1,500 meters.
That is up high quite a ways. I would think it would be pretty cold up there.
I don't know.
I don't usually think of reptiles being super, high altitude creatures.
Maybe it balances out with the desert heat.
That's true.
So to get into our first category, which is effectiveness, this is about their physical attributes, things that help them do their day-to-day things. I'm giving a 9 out of 10 for the Gila monster.
That's good.
Now, the first thing I want to talk about is they are venomous.
Okay, so this is the monster part of the name.
So this is actually quite rare for lizards.
Yeah, I'm struggling to think of any other venomous lizards.
I mentioned one earlier, Komodo dragon.
Oh. Well, yeah. I mean, I feel silly now that you say that.
No. I would say the more famous of the two.
Right.
we talked about, by the way.
Now, is it similar to the Komodo dragon in the sense that there's a bacteria component involved?
Well, I think with the Komodo dragon, if memory serves, they have a dual thing going on. They have actual venom and then also a bacteria that messes stuff up.
Yeah.
But in this case, it's the venom.
Oh, okay.
So the venom is about as strong as a Western diamondback rattlesnake.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then how come the rattlesnake's getting all the heat for it? Because the rattlesnake's loud about it.
Yeah, But however, it's not putting out as much venom, like volume-wise, as a rattlesnake would.
You get a free sample.
That venom is produced in glands in their lower jaw. And something about that venom is there's no antivenom.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Oh, no. You're in big trouble.
However, they are rarely fatal to humans.
Okay.
Most cases involve alcohol or someone who's very young or very old.
Now, when you say most cases involve alcohol, do you mean that alcohol has perhaps contributed to the circumstances in which the bite was incurred?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Which will make more sense as we talk about
it.
In terms of what one would have to do to likely be bitten. So it's very, very rare. And then the people that do have problems with it have some other condition going on, like very, very young, very old, or have some other health problem going on.
Okay. I guess maybe because you mentioned they don't use as much venom.
Yeah, they're not like dumping it.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, venom can be very like resource intensive to produce. So like a lot of animals that have a venomous bite, they don't want to like use all of their venom on you.
But also the delivery mechanism has a lot to do with it. So with things like rattlesnakes, they have basically hypodermic needles for fangs that they just stick into the flesh and then just pump the venom into the flesh that way. So the way this works with the Gila monster is they instead have these grooved serrated teeth. So you can think of it like a groove that runs along the length of the tooth, that when they bite, those glands secrete that venom along with their saliva, and that venom mixed with saliva moves through that groove via capillary action into the bite.
Oh,
yeah,
interesting. For people who aren't aware of capillary action, if you've ever had a bag of leftover French fries from Five Guys, I mean, it doesn't specifically have to be Five Guys. This isn't like a special rule of physics that only applies to Five Guys fries. But if you have like a paper bag with French fries in it, and you look at the bag maybe like an hour later, and you see that the grease stain has worked its way up the bag, even though all the fries are at the bottom, that's capillary action.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So what I think of with capillary action is if you took like a very, very small straw or something and put that in a liquid, the liquid would start moving up that straw because of capillary action.
I guess that's a more serious way of explaining it.
Yeah. Now they have to chew to get that going.
Oh.
So when they bite, they continue to chew to get that venom in there.
Oh, okay. So I guess if you're a human and you've been bit by a Gila monster, you can get it off of you pretty quick, right?
No.
Oh.
You will want to, but it won't work out that way.
Oh, no.
Because something that they're known for is basically biting like a bulldog.
Oh.
Yeah, so they bite and they will hold on for dear life. They've been known to hold on to predators for more than 10 minutes.
Oh.
But here's another difference with them and something like a rattlesnake. So a rattlesnake will use their venom for catching prey and self-defense. Gila monsters, this is totally for self-defense. They don't use this for hunting prey.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, interesting. Because it seems like, why wouldn't you? Like, if you can,
The things they eat not necessary.
I guess that makes sense. There's not like a ton of large prey running around in the desert.
It is possible to get them off. You would need something like a credit card or a stick or something to pry them off of you.
I thought you meant you'd need a credit card to bribe them, like give them your wallet to get them off.
Send 1 Bitcoin or
iTunes gift cards.
They do live pretty long. In captivity, can live over 20 years. The record is 36.
That's a good run for a lizard.
Yeah. So their whole food situation is pretty interesting, I find. They eat these big meals to bridge gaps in food availability. And they do this in an impressive way. So adults can consume up to 35% of their weight in food.
Oof.
That's a lot.
That is a lot of food.
Yeah. And they store their fat not in just their body, like the main body, but also in their tails.
That's why they're so chunky.
Yes. What this kind of ends up happening, though, is that they could consume all of the calories they need for a year in 3 or 4 meals.
Oh man. At first I was like, wow, that must be nice to like only have to eat a few times and you're good for the year. But then I was like, that seems awful. You don't even get to enjoy eating.
Yeah. Now the things they're eating, they're eggs and small animals and carrion. At the Smithsonian National Zoo, not currently on exhibit, they're given mice every other week and an occasional hard-boiled egg.
That's actually pretty cute. As a treat. You could have a little hard-boiled egg as a treat.
I kind of hope they give it to them shell on still.
I mean, what would they... I mean, at first I was like, okay, how on earth would they eat that? But if they're eating eggs in the wild, they must have some means of like...
Yeah.
They must be fine with that, right?
It's either enrichment or nutritious for them. I don't know if they eat the shells normally.
It's a snacktivity.
So, and their prey is also their main source of water.
Yeah, we see this a lot with like animals from really dry areas. You usually like don't really need to drink water.
Right. Because they will seldom drink free water, meaning like if they come across a body of water or something, they don't normally drink that way, but they can.
Yeah, they only drink premium water.
Blood of their enemies. Is how I understood it.
I thought you meant they only drink like Evian, like...
Sparkling mineral water.
Yeah. Nothing from the tap, please.
The last thing I want to talk about with effectiveness is their camouflage. So that skin pattern we talked about. So what that effect gives is it looks like a dapple shaded. So like if you were looking at a ground that is being shaded by something like a desert bush that has little areas of shade and little areas of light. That's what their skin pattern looks like. I
totally see that. Yeah. And that kind of makes sense why you said earlier that they don't prefer flat, open ground, because then they're not going to really blend in as well with that.
Yeah. Although I guess it's a double-edged thing because like that helps them blend in with the shadows like that, but it also kind of serves as a, hey, I'm venomous type thing. That's true. Especially the orange colored ones.
Yeah, like a really, really high contrasting color.
Yeah. So that wraps up effectiveness. Moving on to ingenuity, which is the smart things they can do. I'm giving a 6 out of 10. Could not find a whole lot here.
It doesn't look to me, just on like a sort of quick glance at this creature, it doesn't look to me like there's a ton going on.
Yeah, probably not. Probably not. But it's okay. They don't need a whole lot. They are docile as far as reptiles go. They're not aggressive. So that means, though, that they're not known for like attacking people, right?
Sure. Don't get it twisted. You don't want to go picking them up and messing with them.
Right. So similar to how we've talked about in the past, I think the water moccasin is one that stands out. So most cases of people getting bitten by these were either doing something they shouldn't have been doing, like bothering one.
A skill issue.
Right. Or, unfortunately, maybe didn't see them when they were like stepping somewhere or putting their hand on a rock or something like that. So it's always in a defensive thing when a Gila monster does bite someone. So again, do not attempt to bother, pick up, touch, etc. And when in their environment, watch where you're stepping and putting your hands. For sure.
Yes. This is where trekking poles come in really handy.
Sure. They are often hidden underground since it doesn't need to forage constantly.
I mean, yeah, because I'm thinking, okay, if you're a lizard, you live in the desert, and you're maxed out at only like 3 meals for the year.
Right.
What else are you doing with the other? Because you could eat a meal in what, like 15 minutes? So like that's going to be a max of what? That's like 1 hour of your year accounted for. What are you doing with the rest of that time? Basking?
Sometimes, I'm
just
sure.
Vibing, I guess. Like, just sitting there.
Making more Gila monsters.
I mean, yeah, I guess. They've got time.
Yeah.
What else are they doing?
So they're often underground, and they can share spaces with other animals, like snakes and desert tortoises.
Good for them.
Yeah,
it's a reptile alliance.
They are diurnal, but most active in the morning.
Although, what are they doing with that time? Once again, what are active doing what?
Well, if they're going underground, that probably helps them kind of conserve that body heat.
Yeah. Maybe they pick up some hobbies. Like beadcraft.
Yeah. You know what they kind of remind me? Actually, there's a good example behind you of that kind of bead art.
Oh, yeah. What do you call that? There's a word for that.
There is a word. I don't remember. It's where someone makes some like a picture out of colored beads and then can melt them together.
Perler.
Ah, yes.
Perler bead designs. Yes. Actually, if you look merely 2 feet to the right of that example, you'll see an illustration I have that has a Gila monster on it.
Yes.
It's right there.
There it is. This whole time.
Yeah, I have a framed poster print of an illustration by the artist Claire Spiller, and it's a design titled Toxic Cuties.
Aww.
And it's a bunch of venomous / poisonous animals, including the Gila monster, the blue-ringed octopus, the platypus, there's the blue dragon sea slug, and the slow loris, and we've been looking at one the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Subliminal messaging.
So yeah, they're diurnal. Diurnal meaning active in the daytime versus nocturnal.
The opposite of nocturnal.
Which I feel like that's a word you hear more often.
Yeah, why do we say nocturnal more than diurnal?
Because I guess for us that's like the norm.
Oh yeah, I guess default time.
Yeah. They are solitary, but they do gather in the spring for mating, and the spring is when food is most abundant. Hatchlings are on their own immediately.
Oh, sorry, little guy. Figure it out, I guess.
And they look just like miniature replicas of their parents.
That's great.
So
that's great.
They went the Bethesda route there. So they just shrunk down the adult model.
Set scale to 2.
And then finally, our last category of aesthetics. Things like how beautiful it is or how cute it is.
What do you think?
I think a 7 out of 10, personally.
Okay. All right. I always take issue with your aesthetic scores. It's always either too high or too low.
Which one's this?
This one is too low. They're so cute. They're adorable.
That picture gives them more facial kind of emotion than I think they actually
flattering.
Have. Yeah. I think so, at least.
I like a pudgy lizard.
They're nice. So yeah, they got the bumpy skin going for them, a puppy dog face. I think they're cute.
Yeah,
but again, appreciate from a distance.
Yes.
And they are actually pretty rare to come across. So if you do find yourself fortunate enough to, just make sure you're leaving it in peace.
Appreciate your luck.
Yeah.
Bask in the glory. Take a picture. And then go on about your business.
Yeah. Now, if I ever do find myself in this area, I will for sure, that's going to be my number one hope to see.
We'll have to keep an eye out.
Yeah. Conservation status is near threatened.
Oh, no.
Yes. Their biggest issues are all human related, particularly roadkill.
Oh, yeah. Their one weakness.
Yeah.
Getting hit by a car.
Yeah. They are preyed upon by other desert predators, and they're especially vulnerable when they're younger. But, the bigger problem is humans.
You know who I bet would try to eat one? Roadrunners.
Meat. I don't think so.
Yeah, they're probably a little too chunky for roadrunners.
Yeah. However, they are protected by state law in California, Nevada, Utah, New Mexico, and Arizona.
Well, good. Don't touch them.
Yeah.
The law says so. No touch lizard.
Don't do it. So that is the Gila monster.
That was excellent. Thank you so much, my love. Let's take a quick break to hear from our friends on the Max Fun Network, and we'll get to my animal.
Hi, this is Biz, and this is the final season of One Bad Mother, a comedy podcast about parenting. This is going to be a year of celebrating all that makes this podcast and this community magical.
I'm so glad that I found your podcast.
I just cannot thank you enough for just being the voice of reason as I'm trying to figure all of this out.
Thank you, and cheers to your incredible show and the vision you had to provide this space for all of us.
This is still a show about life after giving life. And yes, there will be swears. You can find us on MaximumFun.org. And as always, you are doing a great job.
Alison Brie was the star of the Netflix series Glow.
Being a gorgeous lady of wrestling isn't easy.
Especially when it's time to get in the ring.
Wrestling is so interesting in that you can't do anything halfway. Okay, so now it's time to run at that woman's body and dive over her head first. You can't do that halfway. You can't do that in slow motion.
Alison Brie on Tights and Fights.
Max Fun's Perfect Wrestling Podcast. Available now.
And if you don't listen,
I'll see you in the ring.
So what's your animal, Ellen?
This week, I will be talking about the Indian peafowl.
Huh. What is that?
Well, you may know them as the Indian peacock.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Did you know that technically speaking, there is no such thing as a female peacock?
That makes sense.
They are peahens.
Yeah.
So the word for all of them is peafowl.
Uh-huh.
Peacock are the male ones.
Yeah.
Peahens are the female ones. So just like how you said you were going to really be on your toes about saying Gila monster, I'm going to try to be on my toes about saying peafowl and not just calling all of them peacocks.
Which you and I have done for many years.
That is always the default. And honestly, I'll be so for real with y'all. I don't care. I just don't care. If you call them peacocks, I'll know what you mean. You know, you say female peacock. I know what you're talking about. You know, I'm not going to.
I mean, we say things like male cow.
Yeah. Like
or
it's,
bull cow.
I don't care. I'm going to try to like be consistent about it because I have to be a professional. But just know. From the bottom of my heart, I don't care.
Heard.
Call them peacocks all you want. That's what everybody does. Use context clues. You know, like language evolves every day. So I don't care if you call them peacocks, but I'm going to do my best to say peafowl. Unless I'm talking specifically about the males, because a lot of the information that I have is like specific to males. So in that case, I have a free pass to just say peacock.
Okay, great.
Cases. But the scientific name is Pavo cristatus. The species was submitted to us by Victoria Vitti. Thank you, Victoria. And I'm getting my information from a lot of sources. Some of the more general stuff is from the San Diego Zoo, but a lot of this I'm going to have to cite as it comes up because there's some specific studies. Now, if you're unfamiliar with peacocks, the males are large, brilliant blue birds, like electric, shiny blue, with a fan-shaped crest of feathers on their head, and they are trailed behind by a dramatic train of these iridescent green and blue feathers. The adult males are about 4 feet long from bill to tail, and then the train adds an extra 4.5 feet. So that's like over half of the animal's total length is this feather train behind them.
Gives them a funny sense of balance, I think.
It's weird because it makes them look very rear heavy, but that's all just like feathers, right? There's not a lot of actual mass there. Now, the females look so dramatically different. They look like a different species. The peahens are much smaller. They're only around 3 feet long from bill to tail. They have no train, so it just ends. The bird's over now. But you can see some similarities. They're mostly like really drab, like browns and grays. They don't have those like really striking colors, with the exception of they have the same little crest that the males have, this little crown on top of their head. And they have some of that iridescent blue and green on their neck.
Like ducks.
Like a pigeon, I'm thinking.
Okay.
Like, you know how pigeons have that little, like, just that little bit of color around the neck? It's kind of like that for the females. So, like, that's at least some indication to you that these are the same species of bird. Because otherwise they look so different. These birds are native to the Indian subcontinent, which includes India, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bangladesh, and some of those other countries bordering around that area. And they are actually the national bird of India.
Okay.
Yep. And they can still be found in the wild there. They belong to the taxonomic family Phasianidae, which is a family which also includes pheasants, chickens, turkeys, and other landfowl. So they're actually kind of like closely related to mostly to the pheasants, but also to things like chickens and turkeys, which I think is kind of interesting.
It is.
You can see the similarity to like the ocellated turkey, which is like a turkey that has like those very like vibrant iridescent colors.
I always felt like they looked a lot like guinea fowl as well.
They do, yeah. You can see that a little bit.
Were you going to talk about where they are found not natively?
I will later.
Got
Yes,
it.
That will come up. Trust. Because you and I know. We know.
Follow us for some reason.
They do. So for effectiveness, I'm giving peafowl a 6 out of 10.
Huh.
So first of all, the peacocks train, this big, impressive train of feathers. It's made up of about 200 feathers that actually aren't part of the tail, technically. They look like the tail, but they actually connect like just above the tail to like the lower back. And the peacock uses its tail to prop up those feathers.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're called covert feathers because they like cover up other feathers. But basically, if you've ever seen the peacock fan its tail from behind, you can see that the whole tail is flipped up. And that's what's keeping the train like splayed upwards.
Okay.
And when they splay them out like upwards, they splay out like a paper fan, which kind of makes this big sort of semicircle, and it shows off these hundreds of bright blue eye spots. So each of those little feathers ends with this very mesmerizing looking eye spot. It looks like what is it called? A mandala?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it has a very sort of mesmerizing, psychedelic sort of look to it. It's really beautiful.
I learned that word in cyberpunk.
Wow, I'm so proud of you. So let's check in real quick with frequent correspondent Charles Darwin. You know it's some heat coming when Charles Darwin gets quoted. In 1860, Charles Darwin wrote in a letter to Asa Gray, quote, "The sight of a feather in a peacock's tail, whenever I gaze at it, makes me..." Fill in the blank. What do you think he's about to say next?
Well, I was just thinking, now, is this Grumpy Charles? Bewildered Charles?
What do you think our boy Chuck D is about to say next?
Makes him feel...
Makes me blank.
Makes him sleepy.
Makes me sick.
Oh, no. Charles.
Whenever I gaze at it, makes me sick. He's disgusted. He can't stand these birds. So the context here is that he was frustrated because the peacock's feathers didn't fit into Darwin's understanding of natural selection. The peacock's plumage is so extravagant and exaggerated, but it doesn't seem to in any way support the survival of the animal. And that's kind of his whole theory, right? Is that traits that support the survival of the animal get selected for, and like over time, it's survival of the fittest, right?
Sure.
Like traits that make you survive better will thrive and become more common in a population. And the peacock's feathers are throwing him for a loop. He's like, this doesn't fit my theory at all. Like, why would they be like this? The feathers aren't helping them to survive. So this was one of the examples that he ends up using to form the theory of sexual selection, which is a type of selective pressure in which a trait, like these flashy feathers, thrives and becomes more common in a population, not because it helps the animal stay alive, but because it is in whatever way attractive. It looks good to mates. Mates see that trait and it gets their attention and it makes them want to mate with them. So it is not necessarily helping the animal survive, but it's a signal to other mates that they like, and it gets passed on.
It can even be detrimental.
It can be detrimental. So actually, that has been a hypothesis about the peacock. A lot of people have suggested that this could actually be an intentional handicap. It might be a flex that the peacock is showing off. I can still survive and thrive even with this enormous inconvenience that I'm dragging around, right? Like, I'm pulling this huge train of bright, colorful, noisy, cumbersome feathers behind me, and I'm still doing great, right? It's like a flex. It's like, look, I can still survive even with this huge disadvantage.
Yeah.
So, like, it's been hypothesized, like, it's been suggested that, like, maybe it's an inconvenience on purpose. Like maybe it's intentionally detrimental to kind of show off like how much you can handle, basically. But it's long been assumed that the peacock's big bulky train is a burden. Like it should be holding them back. It's big and it's like, you know, it must be producing a lot of drag, making them not fly very well, making them, you know, have a hard time getting around in the jungle. But more recent studies analyzing the movement of peacocks, both with and without trains. Because here's the thing, they drop those trains every year. After the breeding season, they shed all the feathers. They lose them.
That makes me feel better about having had a number of peacock feathers in the past.
Oh, yeah, they drop them all the time. It's totally not a big deal.
Okay, great,
yeah,
great.
They fall right off. It's not a big deal. But so they shed their train every year. So it's actually pretty easy to study the same peacock with and without the train and see whether the train is affecting its performance. Because you can just watch like the same exact individual. Like, how does it fly with the train and without the train?
I'm hoping for a Naruto moment here where
all right, reset the counter.
where the person is like, I was wearing weighted clothes this whole time, and then drops them.
Oh, is that not a Dragon Ball Z thing?
That was a Dragon Ball Z thing too.
I guess that's
but Naruto is more timely.
Oh, okay, yes. Well, I mean, for us specifically, for literally nobody else is Naruto more timely. One Punch Man, maybe? Is it a One Punch Man?
No, actually. No, I don't think so. Yeah.
Well, anyway, so in these recent studies, they analyzed the movements of peacocks, both with and without their trains, and they showed that they didn't seem to perform any differently at all.
Okay.
So they weren't doing any worse when they had the trains. And so the researchers kind of floated these suggestions that maybe it could be that they have some, as of yet unknown, seasonal adaptation that's just compensating for the added burden, I guess. Basically, like maybe during the breeding season, maybe it's more testosterone in the body. Maybe they're in some way their body is changing to like become stronger or become better at, walking or flying, where it's like making up for that weight difference, basically. Or it could just be that maybe the train has evolved in such a way where it's so light and it's so flexible that it's not really holding them back as much as we thought it would.
Did you happen to note what kind of difference in weight we're talking about here? Because, yes, they're feathers and they're light, but birds are also known for having very light bodies.
I didn't make a note of that change in weight, but I did make a note of the papers. So anybody curious about that can go read these papers. So one of them was called "The Elaborate Plumage in Peacocks is Not Such a Drag," and that was on takeoff, like how well they can take off into flight.
So they can fly.
They can fly.
Okay.
Not great. They're like not amazing flyers, which isn't super unusual for land fowl. You think of chickens and turkeys and stuff. Flight is not their forte.
Okay. I guess I kind of had assumed the chicken deal was mostly because of how we domesticated them, but it sounds like maybe that's more general.
Land fowl in general, they just don't really. Flight is more like a means of getting up into the trees. Mm-hmm. That's really it. They're not going the distance. They're not going for speed.
Okay.
So the elaborate plumage of peacocks is not such a drag, and that was by Graham Askew in the Journal of Experimental Biology in 2014, and that was the one studying whether the train affected their ability to take off into the air. And the other study I found on this was called "The Peacock Train Does Not Handicap Cursorial Locomotor Performance." That was by Nathan K. Thavaraja et al. In Scientific Reports in 2016, and that was on walking. That was on their ability to walk around with the train versus without the train. And both studies found not a huge difference. They actually seem to be getting around just fine with their train. Okay. So that kind of throws that whole idea of it being a handicap, an intentional handicap to flex. That's a little bit more maybe it's not quite that. Now, it's important to note that there are likely other costs that the train is incurring on the peacock, like making it more difficult for them to sustain flight than they normally would, or maybe it's more difficult for them to make a sharp turn, and also it's very obvious. It is very conspicuous. It's kind of throwing off the whole camouflage deal, right? It is obvious. It makes them very easy to see.
And there's some big predators in that part of the world.
Some very big predators, like tigers and leopards. And wild dogs, and there's all sorts of stuff that can and will eat them, no questions asked. So there probably are other ways that the train is holding them back, but it might not be as much of a detriment to them as we may have originally thought. They've had a few million years to get this right. Sure. It's been kind of tweaked over time since then.
It would be a really funny air brake. So like if they were just in flight gliding and then they just puff out their whole tail.
Like a parachute, like a dragnet.
Like how like space shuttles will do when they're landing.
That would be great. I would love that. That would be very funny. So, the train does compromise camouflage. So there is a little bit of a trade-off there. They have to trade off, like, is it worth it to me to be more easily seen by predators if I'm also more easily seen by mates? Like, you got to kind of make that choice there. Like, which one is more important to me? And they choose being seen by mates. Now, the one thing about it is that the train feathers, like you mentioned, like most people have probably had their hands on a peacock feather at some point. That is because those train feathers fall out extremely easily. Like just the slightest little jostle will kind of, it'll just fall right off. And that is because a peacock is pretty easy to catch. Like with that giant train, you just, a tiger or a leopard or something is chasing one and you get a mouthful of that train. It's good for them that the feathers just pop right off. So, then the tiger is left with a mouthful of feathers.
Very pretty feathers.
Very pretty feathers, which the tiger does not appreciate. Pearls before swine. They really don't know what they've got. That's why I give them a 6 out of 10, because the train is definitely not the most sort of morphologically practical thing to have around all the time. Not all the time, because they do lose it, for part of the year. But, it gets the job done, and they're still here.
Yeah.
It's definitely not hurting them that bad. So moving on to ingenuity, I'm also giving them a 6 out of 10 for ingenuity. I wanted to kind of look at the peahens side of this, right? Because the peacocks have this huge adaptation for this, enormous, very impressive display. It's to impress the peahens. So I'm thinking, why? Why do they want that? Like, why do the peahens want these big ornate tails? Like, what's the process here? Peahens do tend to prefer peacocks with larger and more elaborate trains, but there are a lot of different factors that peahens seem to be looking for in a train. So one of them is the number and density of eye spots.
Okay.
Which there have been some studies where researchers actually removed some of the eye spots, obscured some of the eye spots, and the peahens didn't mate with that male as often. The length of the feathers and the size of the train seems to matter. Also, just the male's behavior during his display, like whether he turns to keep the female's attention. He will kind of wiggle his body to shimmy the feathers, make them look all shimmery. It's really cool. Basically, whether he has Sigma Riz or is totally Ohio.
God.
Well, I have a much sillier study to tell you about.
Oh, it gets sillier.
Yeah, it gets sillier. In a 2013 study, scientists strapped eye movement trackers on peahens.
Oh, boy.
To watch what the females were looking at when they were being courted by males. So when the peacock was displaying to a peahen, they had a little RoboCop sort of cyborg eye tracker that was keeping track of where the peahen was looking during his display. They found that the peahens looked at the upper part of the train when they were far away, but once they got close enough, they ignored the upper train and focused more on the lower part of the train closer to his body. So thinking of the upper part of the train more as the billboard that's next exit, turn left here, hot singles in your area sort of thing. And then once you get up closer, the lower train is the fine print. This is the dating profile bio.
All right.
That's got more. So she's allured at first by the upper train, but then she's looking at the lower train for more to seal the deal, basically. And I wanted to mention that study because it includes a photo of a peahen wearing the eye movement tracker.
Is it silly?
It looks like something Lady Gaga would have worn in 2010 because it's you can still see the little crest of feathers poking out on top of the peahen's head, but also it's got this cyborg laser eye thing. It's great. It's a really wonderful picture that I'm a big fan of.
And their eyes are kind of situated on the sides of their head.
It's so silly. And it is from the front. And any bird from the front is going to be quite silly looking.
I'm thinking of Puppy for some reason.
It's a very cyberpunk sort of peahen study. And that study was called Through Their Eyes, Selective Attention in Peahens During Courtship. That was by Yorzinski et al. That was in the Journal of Experimental Biology in August of 2013.
Okay.
After courtship, males have no part in caring for the chicks. They are simply too busy mogging. And listen, slaying takes up the whole schedule. Like
Sure.
the drip never rests ever. They don't have time to be raising the babies. Which, by the way, the babies are called pea chicks, which is it's like chickpea, but
Yeah. Are they cute?
yeah, they are pretty cute.
Oh, good.
Yeah, they look like a baby turkey. You know how
Okay.
they have like the little stripes on them? They're brown, stripy looking things. They're pretty cute.
Okay.
Peacocks are known for their vocalizations. They go yeehaw.
No, they don't.
That's how I didn't see anybody else like describe it as yeehaw, but like when I hear it, it sounds like yeehaw to me.
Okay.
They're so loud, you can hear them everywhere. I have a very distinct memory of like I was on a long car ride through Central Florida with my grandparents, and at one point, for whatever reason, we had to pull over on the side of the road. And this was in Central Florida, and you know that's mostly like farmland. It's like big, wide open, grassy sort of like stretches of land. And we're just sitting there in the car on the side of the road, and we hear this. And we're like, what is that? We're like, I have no idea what that sound is. And then eventually we look out into this big, giant, open, grassy field, and there's a big old peacock. And we're like, oh, I guess that's what that was.
My personal experience with them is because for a period of time, my grandmother would travel with my aunt, who was a traveling nurse for some time. And she lived in Cocoa Beach, Florida for a while. And where they were living at the time had tons of peacocks.
Oh, yeah. I bet that got no peace.
I mean, as a young, well, I guess I was probably a teenager at the time. I thought it was neat, but I was only there for a couple of days.
Yeah. So you didn't have to deal with it all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll come back to that.
Okay.
Now, one thing that I did include here in the ingenuity, which could kind of go either way, is that peafowl are very well known for their long-standing beef with snakes. When a peacock sees a snake, it's on sight. It's all fight, no flight. They're so down to clown at a moment's notice. When they see a snake, they do not let it go. Like you see a lot of animals, when a lot of animals like see a snake, they like kind of go, oh no, and they kind of like, avoid it. Not a peacock.
Okay. Now, where they're from.
Yes.
Has some pretty impressive snakes.
Yes. So peacocks are known to aggressively chase and attack. Like chase, like they see a snake. They don't just like, oh no, better avoid it. Like I'll fight if I have to defend myself. No, this is not that kind of situation. They will run after the snake of any species and any size, including the black mamba and the king cobra, which are from India. And you can look up, I mean, I was like, let me see if this is true. I looked it up on YouTube immediately. Peacock versus king cobra, peacock versus black mamba. And it's just these peacocks running after these like extremely venomous snakes.
Now, is this a situation where they both lose?
No.
Okay.
Peacock eats them.
But venom
literally eats them whole. Like the snake is already eaten by the time. It's like no, and the peacock will like sneak up behind the snake and like yank its tail.
Huh?
Yeah, it's brutal. This thing just like they go to town on snakes. It's wild. So historically, peacocks have actually been kept as free roaming pest control. So they kind of serve both like form and function because like, yes, they're like an ornamental sort of like decorative, bird, but also they're doing pest control because they're killing snakes and centipedes and all sorts of other like stuff that you don't necessarily want around. Yeah. Which is kind of like strapping a houseplant and also a bunch of knives to a Roomba.
Okay.
Because like it's pretty, but also it's going to mess up some snakes. A sort of major deduction that I did include for peacocks is that they can often cause damage to property, such as cars or windows, because they will violently attack their reflections.
Yes, I've seen this.
It's very funny for everyone else, except the person whose car is currently being attacked by a peacock.
The Jacksonville Zoo,
yes,
at one point had at least one free roaming peacock in the zoo.
That was just like around.
It was attacking vending machines. For this reason.
Dumb birds. So they can and will they can become a nuisance because they do tend to attack shiny surfaces. So that brings me to aesthetics for the peacock, for peafowl, sorry. I've probably gotten that wrong a million times. Like I said, don't care. For aesthetics for the peafowl, obviously it's a 10 out of 10. Like how much...
Okay, so you're not averaging the males and females.
No.
Then. Okay.
Even the females are like kind of pretty.
Okay.
Like, I like pigeons, right? I like
sure.
that sort of... I like the more subtle look. I like a subtle glam, like an everyday sort of look. But yeah, they're incredible. They're one of the most beautiful animals in the world, and they're like made to be that way. They're like an animal. What other kind of animal is like evolved to be beautiful? Like, it's not even about survival, right? It's about beauty.
There's other birds like that, but they're much, much smaller.
Yeah. Like, this is like such a rare example of an animal that is like has evolved to be pretty. So often on the show we talk about animals where you're like, well, survival of the fittest, not always the cutest. Not so in this case. They did, in fact, like, they're specifically made to be very pretty, and they have succeeded in that goal.
Good job.
I did want to include a little note here. They're not actually blue.
I was going to ask you about this.
Yes. This is the case with any bird with blue feathers. Touched on this a little bit in a recent episode on blue jays. So no bird produces a blue pigment.
None.
No bird.
Huh.
Nope. They produce melanin.
Okay.
Which is a pigment which makes brown.
Got it.
The same pigment you'd find in like human skin. So the surface of the feathers reflect blue light due to the interactions between melanin, something called the keratin matrix, which is like the keratin structure of the surface of the feather, and then pockets of air inside of that keratin matrix. So what this means is that if you were to, rather than looking at the feather from the same side as your light source, where the light is bouncing off of the feather and back at you, if you instead shine a light from the opposite side of the feather, so you're shining it through the feather at your eyes, that feather will not look blue. It will be brown.
Okay.
Like, it is just brown when the light is not bouncing from the same side as the viewer. Or if you were to take the feather and like grind it into a powder, that powder would be brown. It would not be blue because you're breaking down that keratin structure that's giving it the actual color.
It's like a crystal structure kind of.
Yes, it is like a keratin, like a crystallized structure.
Yeah. And
so when we talked about this with the blue jay, a lot of people had the question of like, how is that different from anything else being blue? Like, isn't that just what having a color is? It's just how light is reflected. But the difference is that the color is being caused by the physical structure of the thing in a way that like it's dependent on the light being reflected in a certain way. So if you look at something that's producing a blue pigment, would be something like a blue flower, right? Where like if you take like a blue flower and you grind it down into a powder, it's going to still be blue. You shine the light wherever you want. That flower, it's blue. It is like intrinsically blue no matter what.
Right.
This is like only blue under the right viewing conditions. So it's kind of like an illusion. So it's interesting. They have it's called structural iridescence, and it's really cool. It gives it that like shimmery metallic thing. So that's what I wanted to say about that. To wrap things up for the Indian peafowl, there is actually another species of peafowl called the green peafowl that are endangered.
Oh.
Yeah, the Indian peafowl is doing fine. They're all over the world. They've been introduced everywhere. Like, they're fine. No conservation concern for the Indian peafowl. The Indian peafowl enjoys both cultural and legal protections in their native country of India because they are the national bird. So
right.
You can't go around bothering them. The green peafowl, which is native to more Southeast Asia, they are endangered. But Indian peafowl are also featured heavily in folklore, art. They're very iconic sort of animals. And then outside of their native range, they have been introduced all over the world, often brought into private collections as like ornamental pets or kept to harvest their feathers. So for use in like clothing or jewelry, if you want to have peacock feathers, you can just keep peacocks around and then just pick their feathers up off the ground when they drop them. Like, you know, it's renewable. You don't have to, you know, kill the animal to get the product from it.
It's a great cat toy as well.
It's an amazing cat toy. It's also very pretty.
Yes.
A really fun thing to do if you have a peacock feather is to see how long you can balance it on the tip of your finger.
Oh, yeah.
I loved doing that as a kid. Like, see how long you can keep it balanced upright on the tip of your finger. It's very fun. They have been introduced all over the place. If they do escape captivity, they are very hardy generalists and often just able to establish feral populations wherever they're at. They're especially comfy in the hot and humid climate of Florida.
Yeah.
So the Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission offers some helpful tips for dealing with nuisance peafowl, including, and you know it's going to be fun when I have a quote from the Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission. I'm pulling this from their website. If you have a nuisance peafowl, this is some of the advice the Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission gives.
Hit me with it.
Quote, haze peafowl by yelling, deploying air horns, banging pots and pans, or shaking aluminum cans filled with stones or coins. Spraying peafowl with a water hose without harming them can also encourage them to leave an area. So Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission's advice is to boo the peacocks. Now, let me tell you what I think is the greatest risk of feral peacock populations, the greatest risk to me personally, because I have been personally put at actual health and safety risk.
Yes.
Because on Russell Road in Clay County, Florida, there's some guy that has a bunch of peacocks. And this dude is not at all good at keeping these peacocks contained. He has, I don't know what kind of piddly fence he's got on his property, but these dang things are always out in the road. I cannot tell you, because there's this like 90-degree turn where it's like a very densely forested rural area. So you cannot see what's on the other side of this 90-degree turn. I can't tell you how many times I've been coming around that turn, and as soon as you get around there's a peacock in the road. And you gotta like slam your brakes or swerve around. I've had to swerve. I had to do it so many times that like just coming around that corner, I slow down because I'm like, there's gonna be one of these stupid birds standing in the road.
I should put a sign up that just says peacock crossing.
I think there may be something out there that says like slow down. Have you know what I'm talking about? You know which house I'm talking about that's got the peacocks.
Yeah.
Every time they're always out there.
Well, I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, you have to like have them in a completely like enclosed space, like including the airspace, right? To keep them fully contained.
They can get, I mean, they can jump up, you know, and they can fly a little bit. So that, I think that's the true threat from peacocks, is that they're stupid and they stand in the road.
I mean, your car's going to win. I don't know. You mentioned popular in media.
Yes.
My favorite depiction.
Oh, yeah. Kung Fu Panda 3.
I think it's 2, isn't it?
Wait, hold on.
But yes, that is what I was going to say.
Oh, yeah, you're right. It was Kung Fu Panda 2. You're right.
With an albino peacock villain.
Oh, my gosh. He's so cool.
Yeah.
He's so cool. Do you know who did that voice?
No, not anymore.
Gary Oldman.
Huh.
Of course he did. That was such a good game. Those movies slap, actually. I love the Kung Fu Panda movies. And the Peacock villain for that was one of those ones where I was like, I don't want to root for the villain, but like, Your Honor, he's slaying. Like, he looks so good.
And they gave him like throwing knives that look like his peacock feathers. And it's very good.
Just like, it's so well animated.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a Kung Fu Panda fan cast.
I feel like albino peacocks are used often, like in lots of media.
I remember there being a reference to albino peacocks. What was it in Song of Solomon, maybe?
Yeah, I think
it was in Song of
popped up
Solomon.
in literature a lot in high school. Was also in Over the Garden Wall briefly.
Really?
I don't remember that. The Endicott Manor had some albino peacocks.
And of course, it was a little annoying when I was doing research because when you Google Peacock, the like NBC streaming service comes up, and I'm like, go away. That's not what I want. But yeah, peacocks are extremely pervasive in pop culture and media, and just they're very iconic animals. They've earned it.
Fair.
Yeah. So that's peafowl.
Thanks, babe.
Thank you. I had a lot of fun learning about them, and I hope that all of you listening did too. If you liked what you heard today, it would mean a lot to us if you left behind some kind words in a review on your podcast app of choice. We really like to read those. They make us very happy to see. If you want to hang out with us on social media, we're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Discord. Links to everything will be in the episode description, so you can go click through. You can also send me any animals you want to hear us talk about on the show to ellen@justthezooofus.com. Sometimes it takes us a while to get to them. Sometimes it takes a couple years, but we get there eventually.
It turns out there's a whole lot of animals, y'all.
There's a lot, and we only do a few of them per month, so just be patient. We're getting there. We would like to thank the Maximum Fun Network for having us on their network alongside their other amazing shows, like the ones that you heard promos for earlier. If you want to learn more about the network and how you can be a part of supporting our show and keeping us going and get access to that really cool bonus content I mentioned earlier, head over to MaximumFun.org. And finally, we want to thank Louis Zong for our wonderful theme music that I'm so excited to get to share with you guys every week. It never gets old. That's all for today. We'll talk to y'all later.
Bye.
Bye.
Maximum Fun,
a worker-owned network
of artist-owned shows.
Supported
directly
by you.